are you?
Good.
So we've lost Tammy. We've substituted Tammy for our grand kiddo, Cherub. And you've probably seen Cherub in some of the other videos. Cherub knows what she's talking about. You've got Frenchies, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
How long have you had a Frenchie for?
A while.
Yeah, so you've got Frenchies in the house and you're involved in My Breeder Supply and help Cody and me with marketing and that kind of stuff. So Cherub's going to be part of this Q&A session. So Jessica says, good morning, how can I submit questions? The answer is right here where you're asking this question. You're in the right place. Somebody's asking for an update on the litter that was produced from a very old video. So that video, if you want to see our current litters, you can go to www.lovemypups.com, or you can call Tammy if you're interested in a puppy, because she's got a couple of litters on the ground, 580-799-1910. Kathleen Rayner says, hello James and Tammy, can a Chihuahua that had 2 natural births without trouble, then had an emergency C-section, possibly have natural births, or will the future litters be cesarean as well? That's a great question. So, you know the answer to that one?
I don't.
You don't? So here's the rationale. Once you've had a C-section, you've made a scar in the uterus that had to be stitched up because that's where the puppies were born from. And you can get some stretching of that area and potentially weakening of that area. So if a dog then goes into full labor, you get high uterine pressures because that's part of the contractions. And because of that, it could rupture. And there is an increased risk of having a dramatic, disastrous result if it ruptured. So generally the safe answer to this is once you've had a C-section, you continue on with C-sections. And by the way, it's the same thing for humans too. So the answer is the safe thing to do is to pony up the money and go get a C-section done after you've had one. Here's an interesting one. Sammy Gitt says, is Alicin, A-L-I-Z-I-N, a risky treatment to give as a preventive pregnancy in 9-month-old dogs? So I know a little bit about Alicin, and it's kind of an interesting product. So the first thing that we've got to talk about here is, what happened. So you've got a 9-month-old puppy that unfortunately got bred accidentally, presumably, and now you don't want to go through the pregnancy. So, what are your choices? Well, there's 3 choices in this situation. Of course, the first one is just go ahead and have the pregnancy. With a 9-month-old puppy, that's a bit problematic because it's not that you can't have the puppies, but it's more like what's the maturity level. Or you should look after the puppies, and I suspect in your case you're probably going to have puppies you don't even want because it was bred to the wrong dog. So then the next choice would be that you're going to go to a vet. The vet's going to say we're sparing your dog because lots of vets don't like us having puppies, and so they want to make their own rules and regulations, and the only thing they'll do for you is to spay the dog, which is also apparently not what you want to do in this situation. So then you want to abort the pregnancy, and how do you do that? Well, Alicin is a relatively new product, and I did a bit of reading on it, and it is apparently safe. It doesn't impact future fertility of the dog. You have to administer it correctly, and it's a subcutaneous shot that you give in the inside of the back legs. I think you give it twice, 24 hours apart. You have to wait to the right point after mating to do it. You don't give it immediately, so you've got to get your vet involved in this. You're not going to be able to buy this product and do it yourself. So you've got to get a vet on board who's happy with doing this. And so yes, it's also an interesting product because it's a new treatment for pyometrium that I didn't know about, and I wish I had have done a year ago because I might have been able to save a dog that I had to spay with a closed pyometrium. So I'm going to do a separate video here in the next couple of days talking about Alicin and how you might use that in a dog with pyometria and avoid the situation that a lot of you get into with a closed pyometria where your only choice is to spay your dog. So that's an interesting product from that point of view. So this person, Saucy Frenchies, says I got a fluffy carrier, took her to a visual fluffy and got 7 puppies and 0 fluffies. Got any comments on that one? She's just going to be mute the whole... She's like my taxi driver. Take me home.
That
So
doesn't sound right.
that's right. It doesn't sound right, does it? So if you bred a full fluffy to a non-fluffy, you would expect to get all fluffy carriers. Well, that's not what you did here. You bred a fluffy carrier. Yeah, you bred a fluffy carrier to a visual fluffy. Well, okay, so the first thing is every single dog has to be a fluffy carrier because one of the dogs has 2 copies of fluffy. And you'd expect half the dogs to be fluffies. So 3 or 4 dogs out of that litter should be 4 fluffies. What's the possibility of breeding and getting 7 puppies where you should have got half of them fluffies, but you didn't? What's the possibility of that? And the answer is, it's a half times 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 a half. It's a half times a quarter times an eighth times a 16 times a 30. So 1 in 64, 1 in 128 times that can happen. Pretty sure odds, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like somebody's got their DNA wrong. So that's what you would allude to, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that's the right. So the gut feeling has to be, it is possible. It's kind of like winning the lottery in reverse. The chances of it happening are very remote, but it's possible. You need to go get a DNA test done. Specifically, since you bred to a full fluffy, that dog obviously looks fluffy. You know it's a fluffy. Your dog that's a fluffy carrier, we suspect is not a fluffy carrier. So the simple answer is that you go have a DNA test done on that dog and let us know what the answer is, because I think we are going to put money on the fact, and I'd put $1 down on this, that dog is not a fluffy carrier. So I think that's what your problem is. Somebody says keep up with the good work. That's Coos Exotic Kennels, thank you. Jonathan Stanley is commenting on the litter that we had from Denali. Said beautiful structure they are. You're right. You're good eye on dogs. Brian Martinez, can a dog carrying brindle, even if you can't? Can a dog carry brindle, even if you physically cannot see it? Have you seen this one before? Any comments? So a dog that you know, a dog that doesn't look brindle, but comes back with a brindle gene, is that reason? Yes, it is. It absolutely is. Right. Very good. She knows her stuff. So yeah, so what happened? I've had one of these dogs. So Kahuna was a blue dog of ours from quite some time ago, who did in fact carry a copy of brindle, but you couldn't see it. Actually, you could see it, but you'd have to get a magnifying glass out because he had a little bit of striping on his rump. So I've seen this a number of times with a dog that apparently doesn't have any brindle, but in fact is a brindle dog and produces brindle puppies. So brindle can be, you can have a dog with a single copy of brindle that looks like a tiger, brindle all over the place, and you can have a dog that has a copy of brindle and you can't see it even if you look really closely, but it's there. So the answer is, the test is the thing you have to go by, and if the dog starts to produce brindle puppies, you better go test for it, because almost certainly it has to be there. Yote 5.0, my Frenchie is 62 days pregnant. She was bred 12/8. So that would actually make her due 12/8, and today's the 8th, isn't it? So she's actually 61 days today.
Well, I don't know what today is.
I think it's it. Maybe it's the 9th. Maybe it's the 9th today. Let's have a look. What is the date today? Yeah, no, you're right. You're day 62 today, yes. Yes, so her progesterone level, let's get back to the, sorry, I've lost my, where we were. The progesterone level was 1.7 on the IDEX. I know you're very knowledgeable, any suggestion on when she can be due. So that's an interesting one. So, the problem with progesterone levels on predicting due dates is they're only good for one thing. They're a go, no go. If your dog is at a 3 or close to a 3 or less, it's go time. If your dog's higher than that, it's no go time. So I'm going to give you a story here of an example I had. I had a dog that was, the next day was a due date. Her temperature had dropped that night. We took a progesterone level that was 16. So we decided we were going to not go and have a C-section done, but we were going to wait till the morning. But with the temperature having dropped and being at her due date or close to it, we thought we'd probably have a C-section the next day. The next morning we tested her progesterone level, it was 2.5. So it went from 16 to 2.5 in less than 12 hours. So the problem with progesterone, just because it's a 17, doesn't predict whether you're 5 days out or 1 day out. You don't know. What you do know is that really you need to be looking at other signs before you decide to do a C-section. I would not do a C-section on a 17. So you don't tell us about the other stuff. What's the temperature? You did tell us about her date, and I don't think you told us about her temperature. Make sure I tell you. Right. So here's the things that I would be doing. I would go get another progesterone test done probably today, and specifically I'd go take a temperature. The temperature should be below 99. She should be not eating any food. She should, if she's really getting close, she should be doing some nesting. And if she's extremely close or in early stages of labor, she should be panting. So go to your vet, get a progesterone level done, make sure that your numbers are at very close to 3. So what could be going on here? The answer is you've probably bred this dog twice. I'm guessing you've got a fairly small litter. And you've got a small litter because you bred early. And because you bred early, remember that C-section is not based on date. C-section or whelp is not based on when you AI'd, it's whelped, it's based on when the dog ovulates. And so since you bred early, you think you're at the right place, but you're not, so you've got a few more days to go before you're 63 days from ovulation. So that's the reason for your error here. So the answer is go get another progesterone test done, don't get in a hurry. And Jared gets to say goodbye to everybody.
Bye.
Bye everybody. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate people who subscribe to me. It helps me, encourage me to do more of these videos. But do remember, disclaimer here, I am not a vet. I'm not a licensed medical professional. I'm purely a person who's been breeding dogs for the last couple of decades. Any information that you got from this video, use at your own risk. There's nothing implied here, and certainly this should not be used as a substitute for advice from your veterinarian or your medical professional. I hope you enjoyed the video. Come back for more of them. Bye.